Long ago, precisely 2 millennia past, there existed an individual capable of raising entire elf forests and even challenging the life of a god. For this person, acts of the utmost cruelty were nothing but ordinary, as logic and morality held no sway over him. This figure was none other than the ruthless Demon King, the originator of the demon realm itself. According to reports from intelligence agencies published in modern newspapers, in the present day, 2,000 years later, the Demon King would return through reincarnation under a new identity. Furthermore, he would appear at the entrance examination of the Demon King Academy, disguised under this new persona. Today, the Academy was holding its entrance exams not only to recruit gifted students for the nation but also to identify the reincarnated Demon King, destined to claim the throne that had remained vacant for 2,000 years. Excitement around the exam was so intense that people flocked to register as eagerly as one would for a grand festival. Among them was a young girl named Misa, who, on her way to the academy, accidentally collided with someone and dropped a letter. Before she could retrieve it, a tall, strikingly handsome young man courteously picked it up for her. This young man, Anos, was also headed to the academy, so they walked together. By coincidence, the parents of both children, anxious for their safety, cheered them on enthusiastically. At first, nothing unusual happened, but then a meddlesome boy decided to intervene. Seeing the scene, he couldn't resist mocking Anos, taunting him as if he were still a kindergartner needing parental escort. Not stopping there, this arrogant youth, overestimating his own power, tried to challenge Anos in front of Misa. But before he could act, a flame that appeared on his fingers was extinguished effortlessly by Anos with a mere flick, softer than a feather. Anos casually dismissed the fire, likening it to a weak matchstick. Infuriated by the insult, the boy vowed to take revenge, determined to teach Anos a lesson. Yet Anos, focused on reaching the entrance exam, had no interest in dealing with him any further. With a single motion, Anos sealed the boy's mouth, immobilizing him entirely. Helpless, the boy could only fume in frustration as Anos strode away with absolute confidence. Meanwhile, the academy entrance exam officially commenced. In the first round, contestants faced off in one-on-one duels to determine who would advance. Whether by fate or coincidence, Anos's first opponent was Zed, the same arrogant youth who had underestimated him earlier. Bolstered by his flame-imbued sword and magic-resistant armor, Zed was eager for revenge. Yet with a simple flick, Anos snuffed out the fire along the blade. To make the duel interesting and give Zed a chance, Anos chose to refrain from using magic in the fight. Initially full of disdain, Zed quickly realized he was being injured by an unseen strike. Zed couldn't grasp why he suddenly found himself injured. It became clear that the mere, rhythmic beating of Anos's heart released a force so immense that it inflicted severe damage on Zed, leaving him unable to stand. Despite enduring relentless torment from Anos, Zed stubbornly refused to admit defeat. According to the rules, a victor could not be declared unless the opponent either died or gave up. Observing Zed's unyielding stance, Anos simply snapped his fingers again, causing Zed to disappear briefly. By the time the onlookers processed what had occurred, Anos had already completed a resurrection spell, bringing the recently vanquished Zed back to life. One might assume that the experience of death and revival would prompt Zed to surrender, but he remained obstinate and delusional. Faced with such folly, Anos had no choice but to log Zed out several more times in succession. Eventually, Zed finally conceded, utterly humiliated and wishing he could vanish from embarrassment. In the next portion of the exam, every student had to measure their magic index using a crystal. While others faced no difficulties, the instant Anos touched the crystal, it vaporized without a trace. Misa, observing keenly, realized that although Anos's magic index read as 0, an enormous reservoir of magical energy was actually contained within him. After finishing the exams and seeing that Anos had passed, he invited Misa to visit his house, knowing his parents were preparing a celebratory feast, waiting for him to bring home the good news. Misa initially planned to fly there, but Anos opted to transport them instantly using a teleportation spell that had been lost for 2 millennia. In the blink of an eye, they arrived at his home. According to his mother, Anos had grown remarkably fast, reaching full form in less than a month after birth. Not only had he excelled at the Demon King Academy's entrance exam at just 1 month old, but now he was also bringing home a fiancé, much to his mother's delight. She considered a child surpassing his father a true blessing and quickly shared the joyful news with her husband. Seeing his son's extraordinary abilities, his father couldn't hide his pride. That evening, Misa and Aino shared a meal with his family, reminiscent of a traditional introduction of a future daughter-in-law. After enjoying a hearty dinner and drinks, Aino's personally escorted Misa back to her home. During their journey, they exchanged thoughts on every imaginable topic and eventually clasped hands, officially forming a bond of friendship. At that very instant, a radiant light enveloped them, and an intricate wall of magical architecture rose up, signaling the approach of a fierce confrontation. Not long after, Zed's elder brother, Leo, appeared from the shadows, accompanied by his battalion. Having witnessed his brother's humiliation earlier that day, Leo arrived determined to teach Enos a lesson, intent on restoring the honor of his family. He didn't stop at words, he even went as far as killing Zed before Enos iced to assert his authority, declaring that the Enzu family had no need for a disgraceful member who had embarrassed them publicly. In this world, anyone not directly descended from the Demon King was considered mixed blood and inherently inferior to those of pure lineage. Anos, regarded as a mixed-origin challenger daring to defeat Zed, a true descendant of the Demon King, provoked Leo, who sought to mete out divine justice. What Leo failed to realize, however, was that Anos was actually the revered ancestor he had long admired. Hearing Anos' words, Leo grew furious, believing him to be mocking his ancestor. He immediately commanded his forces to engage. Yet, every secret spell and technique Leo unleashed had been crafted by Anos himself. As a result, neutralizing them was as effortless as snapping fingers. To open Leo's eyes further, Anos revived Zed as a living zombie, gifting him back to his brother. In this undead state, brimming with lingering resentment, Zed's power surged dramatically. Leo assumed Anos would let Zed attack him freely, but Anos had no interest in such cruel theatrics. His true intent was to reform Leo's brother and have the siblings unite against him. Witnessing Zed's formidable presence as an undead, Leo, though unsettled, still refused to acknowledge his brother's humiliation. Only when Zed advanced like a demon from the abyss did fear grip Leo, compelling him to try restraining his brother. Regret, however, had come too late. In mere moments, both brothers fell together. Observing the descendants turning on one another, Enos felt disappointment, saddened by their ruthless and heartless nature. With a casual wave of his hand, Enos brought the surrounding walls crumbling down and cast a resurrection spell to save the Enzu brothers. Confronted with a being of Anos' overwhelming might, the siblings dared not speak further, their curiosity burning. Who was he, truly? Anos had long awaited such a question. Leaning in so that every word reached them, he declared, "You failed to see what lies before you. I am your ancestor. The tyrannical Demon King Anos has returned, stronger than ever." 2 millennia ago, when the heroes sought to end Anos' reign in the name of peace for mankind, Anos questioned their logic. If he, as a demon, had killed humans, then had the heroes not also slain demons without hesitation? And even if every demon was erased, humanity would still be left to struggle against other foes such as spirits and gods. To put an end to endless wars between the demon realm, the heavens, and humanity, Anos suggested that the heroes unite with him and build barriers to divide the races, extinguishing conflict and bringing balance to the world. But this sacrifice would not last forever. Instead, they would return in 2,000 years, reborn with their memories preserved. Finding his reasoning sound, the heroes agreed to place their trust in the Demon King. As Anos cast the spell to form the barriers, Canaan suddenly drove his holy sword into him, choosing to vanish into nothingness alongside him. Their choice ensured that for 2,000 years, humankind would be spared meaningless bloodshed. Before disappearing completely, both Anos and Canaan shared their thanks. Anos expressed a wish that when they met again in another life, they might live as friends, for Canaan was the only hero he ever truly respected. As foreseen, 2,000 years later the saint was reborn. Opening his eyes, he saw his parents rejoicing at the birth of their first child. Before they could even decide on a name, the saint declared his own, leaving them speechless with shock. Fast forward 2,000 years to the day classes began, Misa told him that he was seen as an outcast because he had pronounced the Demon King's name incorrectly. Using his magic, Anos peeked into her thoughts and realized the truth. Over the span of 2 millennia, his great name had been altered to Avos. Claiming the true bloodline of the Demon King now sounded false and misplaced. Even worse, the very name of their forebay had been twisted. Later, when the teacher was selecting leaders for an upcoming test, Anos volunteered, only to be denied outright. In the academy, white-clad students, those of mixed heritage, were constantly shunned, while red-uniformed students of pure lineage were favored. Because of such prejudice, the teacher declared that someone like Anos was unworthy of leading and dismissed him. In response, Anos challenged her with a contract if he proved himself stronger than the purebloods, she must accept him as leader. If he failed, he would willingly withdraw from the academy. With only a few clever changes, Anos amplified the strength of the school's prized magic circle twofold. Bound by the pact, the teacher reluctantly acknowledged him as the rightful group leader. Once the leaders of each group were selected, the instructor instructed them to rise and introduce themselves. The Red Team's leader stepped forward with confidence, Sasha Necron, heir to the Demon King's bloodline and the twin sister of Marcy. Yet, despite sharing the same lineage, only Sasha was regarded as a true pureblood, while Misa was looked down upon as a half-blood. When it came time to form groups, most of the students naturally clustered around Sasha, leaving Misa as the sole member alongside Anos. Numbers didn't matter to him though. Even with just the two of them, Anos felt certain they could surpass the others. Sasha, proud and condescending, couldn't resist approaching to belittle him, sneering that Misa was nothing more than a puppet incapable of being useful. She went on to suggest that, if Anos had any sense, he would abandon Misa and join her team for a more advantageous partnership. Unwilling to let the insult slide, Anos firmly defended Maisie, shutting down Sasha's arrogance and leaving her irritated with no comeback. Enraged, she attempted to unleash her destructive demon eye to put him in his place. But Anos instantly countered by releasing a far stronger demonic gaze that completely crushed hers. The overwhelming force of his power forced Sasha to accept her inferiority, and though seething with humiliation, she had no choice but to back off. Just when it seemed things were over, Sasha, unwilling to drop the matter, intercepted them again and declared a new challenge. If she emerged victorious in the upcoming group exam, Anos would have to join her squad and follow her without question. If she lost, however, she would submit herself as his servant. True to his nature, Anos accepted without hesitation. On the day of the Interteen trial, both groups were tasked with constructing defensive fortresses using magic circles for protection. Knowing that Misa specialized in magic focused on construction, Anos entrusted her with building the stronghold while he prepared to handle the other tasks. On the opposite side, Missy and her squad were gearing up for their offensive, busily working on assembling their fortress. Yet, right as the base was completed, Anos suddenly appeared before them, shocking everyone present. What shook them even more was his calm remark that he could clearly hear every piece of their plan, leaving the group rattled and uncertain. Trying to keep morale high, Sasha reassured her allies that no matter how strong Anos was, he couldn't possibly handle everything alone. But her confidence shattered in seconds as Anos casually lifted their entire fortress with one hand and, for added flair, flipped it upside down before sending it flying across the battlefield with a single kick. Not willing to back down, Sasha quickly ordered her comrades to ready their cannons for retaliation. However, with just a tiny flicker of flame in his palm, Anos destroyed their costly artillery in an instant. His fireball didn't stop there, crashing directly into Team Sasha's base and leaving it in ruins. The battle's conclusion was obvious to everyone, and Sasha burned with frustration at her humiliating loss, especially when Anos casually admitted he had only used the weakest form of magic against them, further fueling her anger. Although unwilling, Sasha was forced to acknowledge defeat and submit to serving Anos. Watching her sister hurt, Misa rushed to her side with worry. To everyone's surprise, Sasha no longer showed her usual contempt toward Misa, suggesting their bond as siblings was beginning to mend. That night, when Anos introduced another bride at home, his parents were ecstatic, treating it like they had stumbled upon treasure. His father, in particular, marveled at the thought of managing two wives, something unimaginable even if he were rich. After the meal, Anos personally escorted both sisters back. As they walked, Anos noticed the two holding hands warmly. Curious, he asked about it, but Misa only gave a gentle smile, promising to explain later before dashing into the house. Alone with Anos, Sasha stopped him to express her heartfelt thanks. She was grateful for him accepting her and her companions, and for giving her and her sister the chance to reconcile. To seal her gratitude, Sasha leaned in and gave Anos a deep, meaningful kiss, a gesture of newfound trust and connection that completely caught him off guard. Tomorrow marks Sasha's sister's birthday, and Misa is debating whether she should ask Anos for advice on choosing a proper gift. Anos, however, knows full well that Sasha would treasure anything given to her. While they talk, Sasha suddenly takes a seat beside Anos, and in line with their earlier promise, she officially becomes part of his faction at that moment. During class, the instructor reveals that Ivik, one of the 7 demon elders renowned for their immense strength, will be giving a lecture. Anos recalls the elders vividly, for he had created them himself 2 millennia ago using his own blood to serve as loyal subordinates. Sasha explains that following Anos' sacrifice, the elders continued on and eventually established the academy to raise skilled successors for the role of Demon King. Yet Anos finds the whole situation suspicious. If the elders were the true founders, their lax oversight of the academy makes no sense, especially since they should have already realized that their master has returned. Worried that Anos might stir up problems in such a critical lecture, the teacher sternly warns him to behave and avoid causing any disruptions. Anos pays no mind, brushing her warning aside as if it were nothing. When Ivik enters, raising his hand with 5 fingers spread, both the teacher and the students are stunned. Without caring about the uneasy stares surrounding him, Anos directly asks Ivik if he knows who he is. But this elder's memories had been completely erased 2,000 years ago, leaving him unable to recognize Anos. Understanding that rushing would be pointless, Anos instructs the teacher to continue the lesson, adding that he will speak with Ivik afterward. Shocked by his boldness, the teacher hurriedly apologizes to Ivik and even goes so far as to vow to remove Anos from the academy immediately. To everyone's surprise, Ivik shows no anger toward Anos and simply continues the lecture. Afterward, he and Anos have a private exchange, during which Ivik admits that the only master he recalls is Avos. This confirms that Avos exists and was the one who wiped their memories and spread lies about the Demon King to seize all glory for himself. Though Anos claims his true identity as the tyrannical Demon King, he cannot present proof. For now, both he and Ivik must continue to investigate the truth. Later that day, a dungeon trial begins where the red and white teams must venture into the Demon King's castle labyrinth to gather treasures. Whichever team secures the most valuable artifacts will be declared the victor and may also keep one treasure of their choice. As the contest begins, everyone else rushes eagerly into the maze, but Anos remains unhurried and composed. Seeing Sasha's concern, Anos quietly asks her if simply retrieving the dungeon scepter would be enough to triumph over gathering countless other items. Sasha agrees, but points out that the dungeon is not easily accessible, as even the academy instructors have failed to get inside. Anos, however, is well aware of every corridor of the labyrinth he created and confidently guides them through, avoiding any encounters with monsters. They soon arrive at the dungeon's deepest chamber and secure the scepter. The sight of the scepter immediately puts Sasha in her usual enchanted state. Meanwhile, Anos and Misa, uninterested in the relic, step into a hall glowing with golden radiance from piles of treasures. Knowing Sasha's birthday is the next day, Anos tells Misa to choose any treasure for her and offers to give her one as well. Misa declines anything for herself and instead selects a phoenix flame cloak for Sasha, who becomes instantly attached to it and promises to care for it dearly. While Sasha leaves to try it on in another room, Misa quietly expresses her gratitude to Anos for making such a gift possible. But when Anos heads to check on Sasha, he instead finds Misa collapsed, a dagger lodged deeply in her chest. At that moment, Sasha reveals her true self, admitting everything was just a facade. She had only been manipulating Misa and Anos to secure the scepter and win the trial. With Misa gravely wounded, Sasha urges Anos to hurry and save her, warning that if he doesn't, all that might remain of his teammate will be a corpse. After delivering this cruel truth, Sasha breaks their pact and attempts to run. Yet Anos, having foreseen her move, snatches her leg and drags her back. Right then, Sasha emerges from the room perfectly unharmed, without a single wound. The truth becomes clear, Anos had doubted her the moment he saw the greed in her eyes when she received the cloak. The injured Misa was already healed before Sasha's betrayal. What Sasha had witnessed was only an illusion Anos conjured. He reminds her that as the original Demon King, such tricks mean nothing to him. Still, even though her sister had scorned her countless times, Misa bore no hatred and earnestly begged Anos to let Sasha live. Anos had planned to interrogate Sasha about her real motives, but touched by Misa's sincerity, he chose leniency. Though spared, Sasha lashed out at Misa with cruel words and fled with the scepter, refusing to look back. Deep down, shame surely gnawed at her, yet her pride wouldn't let her admit her faults. Alone with Anos afterward, Misa revealed why she had defended her heartless sister so strongly. She entrusted him with a truth she had kept hidden. On her birthday, tomorrow, her very existence would vanish. From the beginning, Misa had never truly existed. From the very moment of her birth, Ibuki used a fusion spell to sever Misa from Sasha's soul. His purpose seemed to be combining their essence into one being, creating what he believed could become the strongest demon ever. Destiny, however, decreed that Sasha would remain, while Misa was destined to fade away. For 15 years, Misa longed to form happy memories of her own. Yet, being treated as if she did not exist, none of the demons would even acknowledge her. Only one person chose to speak with her and even accepted her as a friend. Misa was deeply thankful and treasured that bond. But when Onos heard her calm acceptance of such a cruel fate, his heart twisted with sorrow. Without hesitation, he embraced her tightly. To comfort her, Onos vowed to grant one more of her wishes. Misa's only desire was to reconcile with her sister Sasha before she disappeared. Without delay, they went after Sasha, meeting her just as she was leaving the castle. At last, the two sisters stood face to face, one longing for truth, the other hiding behind a mask of indifference. Misa desperately wanted to know if Sasha truly despised her, as she had so often claimed. Sasha avoided the question, instead demanding a wager with her usual careless attitude. She insisted that Onos should trigger one of the two magic circles she had crafted, either would grant him victory. With a series of theatrical gestures, Sasha completed the two circles. She explained that activating just one was sufficient. Watching her behavior, Onos immediately realized there was no real gamble here at all. From the beginning, Sasha intended to hand him this victory. With gentle resolve, Onos cast the spell and set the circle alight, bringing unrestrained joy to Sasha. Now it was time to reveal the truth about her feelings for Misa. Standing together within the glowing circle, Sasha finally let go of her facade. Though her words had always been sharp, her heart was full of love for her younger sister. Gifted with the dreaded demon eye, she had been feared by everyone. Yet only Misa had stayed near her, smiling without fear. Because of Misa, Sasha was able to step into the outside world. But since Misa's existence was denied, she endured isolation. Even their family kept her apart from Sasha. Unwilling to let her sister vanish, Sasha devoted herself to mastering magic, determined to discover a solution. After years of striving, she uncovered a method, giving up her own life so Misa could remain. The ritual, known as the Origin Fusion Circle, was her only path. But the circle could only be completed if Misa renounced her sister. For that reason, Sasha had always tried to force Misa into hating her, though she never truly meant the words. Even so, activating both the Jessie and Black circles required more power than she possessed. Now that Onos had awakened Jessie, the time to act had come. Sasha turned coldly toward Misa, spitting words of rejection to push her away, hoping to awaken true hatred. Yet as the ritual began, it collapsed almost instantly. Misa had never abandoned her love for Sasha. Confused, Misa could not understand why her sister had lied for so long. To her, Sasha would always be the most precious sister. The spell shattered, leaving Sasha weeping as she pleaded with Onos to save the sister she had tried so hard to protect. Faced with the dilemma, Onos calmly declared that he would protect both sisters. His method was called Reverse Time, Defy Fate. By carrying them back to the moment of their birth 15 years ago and fusing their current origins with their original ones, an unpredictable phenomenon would occur with the four origins, most likely resulting in the creation of two distinct beings. This meant that neither would be forced to vanish as things currently stood. Yet Sasha understood that such a spell could only be performed by the Demon King ancestor. Just as Onos was preparing to activate the technique, Ivex suddenly drove a sword into his chest. Indeed, Ivex's purpose was to stop Onos from saving the sisters. His goal was to use the fusion of their bodies as a vessel for resurrecting the ancestor Avos, showing that Ivex had now been completely overtaken by the void. Even so, Onos had no time to waste clashing with him. With such a crude attempt at striking him down, Ivex clearly underestimated the power of the ancestor. Declaring this, Onos sent him crashing back several meters. With time slipping away, Onos resumed preparing the spell to send the two girls into the past. But midway through, they were confronted by the god of time. Since altering time was a violation of divine law, the time god empowered Ivex, intending to use him as a weapon to kill Onos. With his arrogance bolstered by divine strength, Ivex foolishly believed he could defeat him. Ivex launched repeated strikes against the barrier Onos had erected. When it finally shattered, he thrust his blade straight into Onos' heart. Believing the wound fatal, Ivex grinned in triumph. However, before he could savor the victory, Onos appeared behind him, stunning Ivex. Onos' origin was far too resilient to be destroyed so easily. Unyielding, Ivex cast a spell that froze time itself. But because their battle took place within the Demon King's castle, Onos effortlessly summoned his demonic sword. Armed with the blade, Onos struck with the swiftness of wind, filling a kite, unleashing a decisive slash that forced Ivek to log out of the game. Through this forced logout, the Ivek from the past was restored. It was revealed that his origin had been entwined with one of Avo's minions. Now that the corrupted origin within him was erased, the old Ivek returned to his place as Onos' loyal follower. Onos speculated that the same manipulation had likely ensnared the other 6 demon elders as well. He ordered Ivek to quietly look into the matter while he handled the rest. Meanwhile, in the past, Misa and Sasha successfully combined their origins. With the ancestors' help, the sisters overcame their struggle without either needing to disappear. Even better, they now existed as 2 separate individuals, no longer bound to one another. Both sisters felt deep gratitude toward Onos. Once everything was resolved, the 3 of them retrieved their staffs and claimed the maximum score. Emerging back to the surface, they were greeted by the light of a new dawn. Onos turned to wish the 2 lovely sisters a happy birthday, encouraging them to grow strong quickly. Sasha had already received her gift, but Misa had not. Though she had asked for nothing within the castle, Onos thought the lotus leaf ice ring was the perfect present for her. With heartfelt appreciation, Misa thanked Onos for the treasured gift. She and her sister could now share a joyful smile again, all thanks to him. 2 millennia ago, deep within a forest, a fierce clash unfolded between the Great Spirit and the Demon Clan. During that confrontation, Onos' most trusted subordinate displayed unmatched swordsmanship, effortlessly overpowering the Great Spirit. His loyalty and strength made him an indispensable right-hand man who never failed his lord. After the victory, Onos asked Shin if he desired any reward, promising to grant whatever wish he spoke. Shin requested reincarnation, even though he lacked the origin power needed to preserve his memories, meaning he might have to rebuild his sword skills from nothing. Still, he was adamant, stating that he would rather be reborn than endure a life without the Demon King. Moved by his resolve, Onos accepted his plea. In the present, as the teacher stepped into the classroom, she delivered 2 announcements, both unwelcome. First, a transfer student would soon join their class. Though not normally significant, the teacher explained that this newcomer hailed from the royal family and was recognized as the finest swordsman in the city, so they were to be treated with respect. The second piece of news was worse. The scepter had been stolen before its official appraisal. Because of this, she declared that their group would only receive 70% of the maximum points until the item was retrieved. This angered Sasha, who argued it was unjust for their team to be penalized for the Academy's failure to protect the scepter. Another girl rose to defend their group as well, demanding fairness. Yet the teacher remained firm in her decision. Some ignorant classmates began jeering, accusing Sasha's group of deliberately taking the scepter to hide a forgery. Onos, calm as ever, walked over to one of the loudmouths and revealed the scepter from his possession, exposing the baseless accusations. He had known the truth from the start and merely waited to see how far their mockery would go. After class ended, a girl named Milan approached him, introducing herself as part of the Unification Party. This faction, under the leadership of Demon Elder Bolin, stood for equality, treating both pureblood and mixed-blood demons the same. Many of them even believed Onos to be the feared yet revered ancestral Demon King. Milan soon invited his group to the headquarters of the Unification Party, a place where Onos' female admirers often gathered, thrilled simply to breathe the same air as him. Beyond their admiration, the members worked with passion, convinced that through unity, purebloods and mixed bloods could learn to coexist and grow together. The following day, they met with the Demon Elder himself, who set forth a trial. Swords were buried within the ground, and those who managed to draw them out would earn a chance to study swordsmanship directly under him. Only the first 2 to succeed would claim this honor. Everyone found the task difficult, even Sasha, who felt her magic drain rapidly the harder she tried to pull the blades. At that moment, Onos playfully mocked her, which prompted Sasha to challenge him to try. Onos admitted that the only blade he couldn't lift was the one belonging to the hero Kinnan. Aside from that, he could easily pull out what he called worthless lumps of iron. Meanwhile, another student succeeded in drawing out one of the swords. Not stopping there, when the Demon Elder attempted to test his own strength, that same student struck him down, leaving him unconscious. The true Demon Elder then allowed Onos to finish things. After both of them unleashed their techniques, the elders exchanged intense looks filled with rivalry. The newcomer who stood out was a fresh student recognized for his flawless sword skills. Surprisingly, Ray openly declined the teacher's invitation to become the group leader. Instead, he requested to join Ono's squad. Ono's, however, made it clear that entering his group wouldn't come so easily. He imposed a condition: if Rei could triumph in the upcoming team match, he would earn a place. When the intergroup contest began, Rei teamed up with Milan and the girls from the Unification faction against 3 fighters from Ono's side. Seeing Rei's kindness and respect toward half-bloods, the girls from the Unification party were immediately drawn to him. As always, Misa constructed the fortress, Sasha launched the offensive, and Ono stepped up to face Rei directly. To aid the Unification girls, Rei lent them his enchanted sword and magic. To keep things fair, Ono's vowed not to use any magic himself, instead fighting Rei with only a wooden branch. Fueled by Rei's power, the Unification girls' confidence soared, and they even managed to turn their fortress against Sasha and her sister. At the crucial moment, following Ono's advice, the sisters combined their strength and completely destroyed the fortress. Milan attempted a sudden strike from behind, but Sasha quickly evaded the blow. At that same time, Ono's landed a hit on Rei. After exchanging blows, Ono's observed that Rei's swordplay was not only impressive but strangely familiar. On the girls' battlefield, seeing Sasha in danger, Misa rushed forward to shield her. Together, they merged the Phoenix Cloak with the Lotus Leaf Ice Ring, unleashing a devastating combo. Their fire and ice strike shattered the fortress of the Unification girls, sealing a decisive victory. Meanwhile, in the duel, Rei's blade skills shone brilliantly. Yet, as the story always demands, the supporting role could not outshine the lead. Despite his strength, Rei was unable to overcome Ono's. With a swift, crushing attack, Ono's disarmed Rei, knocking his sword away with nothing but the branch in his hand. Rei accepted defeat without regret. He admitted that fighting Ono's gave him a strange sense of recognition, as if they had crossed paths 2 millennia ago. Ono's agreed, noting Rei's resemblance to someone he once knew. Rei reached out his hand to Ono's, and though he had lost and failed to secure a place in the team, both were more than willing to become friends. To build stronger bonds, Ono's invited Rei and Milan to his home for dinner. As always, his parents were warm and welcoming, creating a pleasant and peaceful atmosphere. Impressed by Milan's determination during the earlier battle, Ono's allowed her and the rest of the girls in the group to officially join his team. Once the meal ended, Milan and Rei stepped outside to get some fresh air and exchange their thoughts. Just like before, Rei's calm demeanor and fair-minded attitude towards half-blooded demons caused Milan to grow even more drawn to him. With the Magic Sword tournament drawing near, Emily announced that Rei had successfully earned a position in the competition. This time, Ennis was also granted a spot alongside Rei, but he found the situation unusual. The royal family had never shown interest in his victory before, so why encourage his involvement now? Ennis suspected it was part of a darker plan to ensnare him. Around the same time, Milan informed him that the elder demon Bolin, head of the United faction, requested a meeting with him. The moment Bolin laid eyes on Ono's, the true demon king, he could not contain his emotions. Tears welled up as he knelt down in reverence, overwhelmed to be in the presence of his king after 2 millennia. He apologized for failing to recognize him sooner, explaining that his memories of the tyrannical demon king had been stolen after an ambush. 2,000 years earlier, when the tyrannical demon king gave his life to preserve humanity, Bolin awoke disoriented within the Great Spirit Forest. It took him centuries of recovery and cultivation before he could regain his power. After returning to the demon realm, he discovered that the demon king's name had been secretly replaced with that of Avos. Concerning the upcoming Magic Sword tournament, Bolin urged Ono's not to take part. He warned that it was a trap set by the royal family, and avoiding participation would cause the fabricated name of Avos to surface instead. Ono's agreed to think carefully on Bolin's words before hurrying back to eat the dinner his mother had prepared. When he got home, Misa was already showing off her cooking skills, presenting dishes that suited his tastes. During the meal, his mother casually revealed that a teacher had visited to officially confirm his placement in the tournament. It became clear they were pressuring him into competing by spreading the news. Although Ono's was reluctant, the joy and anticipation on his mother's face made it impossible to decline. Watching the effort Misa had put into making his favorite dishes also inspired him to give something in return. He told her to ask for any wish she desired, promising to grant it. After reflecting for a moment, Misa chose nothing material. Instead, she requested that he accompany her for a simple walk through the city the next day. Since he was free the following day, Ennis readily agreed to Misa's suggestion. Their outing unfolded exactly as planned, beginning with a visit to a magic model shop that Misa often went to. As a valued customer, Misa received a warm welcome from the shopkeeper, who invited her to act as though she were at home. She then guided Anos into a special room used for model crafting, where she used her magic to bring to life a small but heartwarming family dining scene. Knowing how much she adored such sentimental creations, Anos in turn crafted a detailed miniature replica of the entire city, an impressive sight that caught everyone's attention. As expected, Misa was overjoyed when she saw it. Whenever she found a quiet moment, she would take out the model just to admire it. At her request, Anos fixed it onto a ring so she could keep it with her at all times. Deeply touched, Misa expressed her gratitude and vowed to cherish the gift dearly. Afterward, Anos brought her to a cat cafe for a change of atmosphere. Though they appeared to be there for bubble tea, in truth it was the spot where he had arranged to meet Ivik, who came bearing new information. From Ivik's findings, it seemed the unified party wasn't actually under Bolan's leadership but someone else's. Suspicion also surrounded Bolan, since it was far too convenient that he could escape Avos's brainwashing unharmed. Ivik also revealed that another individual was concealed within a hospital founded by Emily's father, though that person seemed to be nothing more than a puppet being controlled by another force. Ennis instructed Ivik to continue looking into Bolan and the sword tournament, while he himself would handle the situation with the hospital. Later, Ennis and Misa made their way to the magical hospital for a closer look. Nothing seemed out of place within the facility, but Anos grew more concerned after spotting Ray visiting his ill mother. When Anos brought up the upcoming sword tournament, Ray's response was strangely tense and off-putting. Even more unusual, Ray turned down Anos's offer to heal his mother's condition. On the day of the tournament itself, before the event began, Ivik returned with a report that Bolan might be linked to two elder demons whose thoughts were still under Avos's control. Meanwhile, Ray's mother was confirmed to be suffering from a spirit-related disease and remained hospitalized. In the first round of the sword tournament, Anos found himself matched against the reigning champion. At first, he had no intention of drawing attention to himself, but hearing his mother's passionate cheers and remembering the hard work his father had poured into forging his demon sword made him reconsider. Not wishing to let down his family and companions, Anos gripped the weapon crafted by his father and strode proudly onto the arena, brimming with confidence as he prepared to face his challenger. At the arena, the reigning champion from the last season was still desperately trying to land a blow on Anos. With his weak, almost pitiful shrimp-like skills, he clearly stood no chance of even brushing against Anos. Meanwhile, above, his parents and the girls of the United Party shouted their support loudly. Anos dispatched him with ease in less than a minute. Even after such a crushing defeat, the champion struggled to accept his loss. Anos then declared that while he looked down on him, he should never scorn the blade forged with the life's work and soul of his father, a blacksmith. Hearing this, his father in the stands was brought to tears. As predicted, the next bout was taken without effort by Lay. But the crowd was stunned when the announcer revealed that Ray would be fighting on behalf of the royal side. Afterward, Ray met Anos face to face and calmly admitted that he had accepted the promise made by the royal family. They had offered him an enormous reward if he agreed to join their military under a false title. Ray even denied his ties to his friends, regretting ever making bonds with them. With even more venom, Ray declared outright that he himself would slay Anos during this tournament. After speaking, Ray unsheathed his sword and slashed toward Ono's hand, while Ono simultaneously made a move aimed at Lay's chest. Yet at that moment, it was nothing more than a clash to measure each other's strength. The true battle was reserved for the finals. From that exchange, Onos realized Ray's body was under the influence of a cursed blade, most likely a binding contract sealed within his heart by the royal faction. This pact could obliterate his being if its terms were broken. Perhaps that was why Ray had never sought Ono's aid. Afterward, both Ray and Onos claimed victory in their respective matches, advancing to the final round. Onos, having other matters to resolve, entrusted the cursed sword to his mother for safekeeping, guarded by the girls of the United Party. Then he accompanied Milan to visit Lay's mother in the hospital, who, like Milan, carried both human and spirit blood. When Ray's mother awoke, she confessed that the royal family had threatened her life to force Ray into their service. Understanding that Ray had endured it all for her sake, she begged Onos to release him from these chains. At that point, saving her was also the same as saving Ray. From her knowledge of spirit sickness, she explained that legends of spirits must be spread widely in order to eliminate the illness entirely. Though she could not recall the crucial line from the spirit legend, her recovery showed signs of improvement. This hinted that the spirit legend had not completely faded. For now, it was crucial to keep Rei's mother alive until the tournament's end. As another spirit, Onos asked Milan to channel her energy into Lei's mother, promising that afterward he would help her recover what she had given. With that, Onos formed a ritual circle for Milan to begin the treatment. At that moment, Onos' mother and the girls who were carrying the sword were filled with joy. Out of nowhere, Emily appeared and deceived the officials, claiming that the sword must be reclaimed from the finalists. Yet, such a rule had never existed. Onos' mother instantly realized this was a ploy to steal his demonic blade. When she firmly refused to surrender the sword, Emily's face darkened, and she unleashed a strike of lightning to snatch it by force. Rage burned within her because her brother, the previous year's champion, had been effortlessly humiliated by Onos. Emily clung to the belief that those of mixed blood were naturally beneath purebloods, and Onos disgracing her royal sibling was something she could not forgive. Powerless to defeat him fairly, she turned to vile schemes, determined to claim the sword of a pureblood for herself. But her actions were no more honorable than her words. Tormented by guilt yet consumed by spite, Emily's shame twisted into fury, and she hurled her magic with ferocity toward Onos' side. Though the girls shielded his mother with everything they had, her strength vastly outmatched theirs. They were struck down one after another, but even on the ground, they used the last of their strength to rise and sing songs that exalted the demon lord Onos. They placed their faith in the future, that light would overcome darkness, and that one day, purebloods and mixed bloods alike would live as equals. Their words enraged Emily, who loathed mixed heritage, and she unleashed her full power in a final devastating attack that left the brave girls fallen. When she prepared to finish Onos' mother, a sudden surge of magic tore through her lightning and shattered it apart. Onos then strode forward without hesitation. He silenced Emily first, healed his mother with magic, and revived the fallen girls of the party. "The river's water does not disturb the wells," he said, "but since you insist on provoking me, do not fault me for my cruelty. I have endured you long enough." With that, he dragged her to the Academy's dueling grounds. There, without delay, he drove a deadly blade into her body. "You have but a single minute to live unless you acknowledge that I am the true demon lord," he declared. Stubborn as ever, Emily refused to yield. Yet as the blade sank deeper, terror finally overcame her pride, and she begged Onos for her life. But her pleas came too late. There would be no mercy. Onos sent her soul straight to hell. Yet, in the next instant, he revived her in front of all, killing and resurrecting her again to prove that her fate rested eternally in the hands of a mixed blood like him, an unbearable disgrace in her eyes. And worse still, resurrection was only possible for those with mixed heritage. The fact that she could die and return revealed her own bloodline's truth. For someone like Emily, whose hatred for mixed blood ran so deep, this was a humiliation far crueler than death itself. Emily once again considered taking her own life, but Onos intervened by casting a spell upon her. Regardless of what she tries, her injuries regenerate endlessly. To Onos, forcing her to continue living as a half-blood is the ultimate punishment, an agony far deeper than death could ever offer. While Milan was tending to her inside the room, Rei arrived unexpectedly. Believing at first that Milan meant to harm his mother, Rei pressed a blade to her neck. Yet once he discovered Milan's true intentions, gratitude replaced his suspicion, though he didn't want her exhausting more of her magic. Without hesitation, Rei rendered her unconscious. His mother understood the hardships Rei had endured and wished for him to be free, to follow his own will and desires. But how could Rei coldly forsake his own mother? Perhaps a life-or-death confrontation with Onos was always destined. At the start of their final battle, Rei and Onos each received a bracelet to wear for the duel. If Onos unleashed his full strength, the bracelet would sap away his magic, and if he managed to win, a hidden spell within it would end his life. This clever setup forced him into a situation where losing seemed like his only option. Yet, their calculations went wrong when Rei, unwilling to place Onos in such a trap, shattered his pact with the demon sword. Even though doing so might claim his life, Rei showed no hesitation. Guided by his mother's words to trust his own heart, he understood she had been right. In that instant, Rei longed to fight without chains holding him back. With the curse no longer binding him, Rei looked forward only to giving everything he had in his clash against Onos, who welcomed Rei's determination. Without delay, they collided with blinding speed, their movements so fast the crowd could hardly follow their blades. Each strike carried deadly intent, and the duel turned into a ferocious contest. In the decisive exchange, Rei managed to slice off Onos' arm, but the cost was a fatal wound to his own heart from Onos' sword. Right after the fight, Bolin pulled Onos into a separate realm. Bolin was, in fact, the one who had bound Rei with the demon sword pact, taking advantage of the moment when the bracelet weakened Anos' magic. With Anos injured and Rei unable to help, Bolin tried to finish him. To gain the upper hand, he also summoned two powerful demons, believing the battle was his. Yet before he could savor his supposed victory, Anos struck unexpectedly, instantly annihilating the summoned demons. Just then, Rei appeared behind Anos. The blow Anos had landed earlier wasn't meant to kill him but to free him from the demon sword's curse. Outnumbered 2-1 and realizing he was losing ground, Bolin tried to use Rei's mother as a bargaining chip. But Rei, having already steeled himself for that possibility, threw his sword straight at Bolin and used the opening to dash toward the realm where his mother was held captive. The moment he entered, however, Bolin sealed the dimension shut. It became clear that Bolin's true scheme was to trap Rei elsewhere, leaving Anos alone. He then released a torrent of black smoke at Anos, but it was stopped cold by the powerful barrier Anos erected. Instantly, Anos reattached his severed arm and launched his counterattack against Bolin. Bolin swiftly withdrew into a private dimension only he could access, forcing Anos to call upon Rei's aid. Anos intended to rely on Rei's swordsmanship for this strategy, channeling his vast magic into Rei's blade to amplify its might against Bolin. Yet, despite Anos' magical reinforcement and Rei's remarkable skill with the sword, Bolin's barrier held firm. When it seemed all hope had faded, Rei's mother suddenly awakened. Wishing to support her son, she offered the power of her spirit, taking the form of a sword infused with the strength of a mother's love. With her encouragement, Rei charged ahead and tore apart the smoke shrouding Bolin. Riding this surge, Rei smashed through the dimensional gate, startling Bolin and causing him to falter. Once her role was complete, Rei's mother faded away. Realizing defeat was inevitable, Bolin attempted to escape again through another dimension. This time, Anos refused to allow it. Regaining full control of the fight, he appeared behind Bolin before he could react. Bolin frantically tried to create new dimensional paths, but such tricks were nothing more than child's play to Anos at this point. Anos shattered the dimensional doors as they appeared and then summoned the demon sword of ruin, cutting through Bolin's legs to halt his retreat. No longer interested in dragging out the battle, Anos drove his blade into Bolin's forehead, destroying the origin of Avos hidden within him. The servants of Avos under Bolin's control disappeared the moment Bolin came to his senses. It became clear he had been attacked and manipulated by a stranger into harboring hatred toward the Demon King Anos. Even the two mighty demons Anos had revived earlier were found to be entirely under this influence. Anos summoned and annihilated the foreign origins inside them. At that instant, the true Avos appeared in the arena. With the conflict settled, Anos broke apart the arena so that all could see the aftermath of the fight. What the crowd witnessed was Rei lying still, utterly unable to continue. The outcome was undeniable, the victory belonged to Anos. Lifting his father's sword proudly, Anos declared that the blade had been the reason for his triumph. He voiced heartfelt thanks to his father, who, overcome with emotion, shed tears of pride for his extraordinary son. Afterwards, Anos revived Rei with his magic, and since Mulan had already healed Rei's mother, restoring her was far simpler. Thus, Rei and his mother were reunited at last, and he embraced her with pure happiness. The next morning, the class was greeted by a different homeroom instructor. Miss Emily had taken a sudden leave, and from that day forward, Historia would serve as their homeroom teacher. No one in the class understood why Emily had abruptly stepped away, except for Anos, who was aware that her departure came from being overwhelmed and unable to recover after discovering she was of mixed heritage. Historia soon informed the students that there would be an upcoming exchange program where they would travel to the human world to attend a hero academy. It was their first official journey into the human realm, and most of the students were buzzing with excitement, though Anos appeared completely indifferent. To prepare them, Historia asked the class how they would distinguish the human domain from the demon realm. Having battled humans in the past, Anos understood their ways better than anyone. He explained that in the human world, heroes stood in the same position as a demon king. Rather than focusing on long, drawn-out wars, humans relied on large armies, while demons favored strong defensive tactics. Humans always prioritized aggression. Every point he laid out was precise, leaving no room for argument. Later, Anos had a quiet discussion with Bolin, who shared the outcome of his latest inquiry. 3 of the ancient demons were still bound by Avos' control, and Bolin had yet to find the right chance to destroy the source Avos had embedded within them. Regarding the exchange event, Bolin advised Anos to stay alert. noting that the Hero Academy maintained a special class solely for training heroes. In a time of supposed peace, the fact that such a unit still existed hinted that something suspicious might be at play. After their conversation, Anos brought Ray to his grand estate, allowing him to select a weapon of his choice. After considering his options carefully, Ray settled on the most distinguished blade, called First Intent. Anos explained that each swing of the sword had to be driven by the wielder's full resolve. Without such intent, the blade would be nothing more than worthless metal. When Ray easily cleaved through an object that Anos had conjured, he felt deeply satisfied. In his former life, only his most loyal lieutenant had been capable of handling that sword. Watching Ray, Anos was reminded of Shin, and the possibility of reincarnation was impossible to ignore, especially since Ray himself always sensed that he had once lived centuries earlier in another existence. Yet, when Ray questioned him about whether he and that trusted subordinate had ever vowed to reunite in another life, Anos was suddenly struck by memories of the hero canon. This left him uncertain, torn between who Ray might truly be reborn from. When the day of the inter-academy exchange finally arrived, the teacher declared that each student would need to make their own way to the Hero Academy. No one cared about the method of arrival, only that they made it within the 10-day limit. Anyone who failed knew the penalty and might as well slip back to the demon realm quietly to spare themselves the humiliation. While Sasha debated which road would be the fastest, Anos wasn't one to waste time with detours. With a flicker of demonic magic, he transported the entire group straight into the human realm. Still, missing out on the journey that others would experience left a slight sense of dissatisfaction. Since they had shown up a full 10 days early, they chose to wander and take in the human world. Milan had duties to send out word and guide the girls from the Unification faction, so Misa went along with him. When Anos decided to stroll through town, Sasha eagerly tagged along. The lively marketplace drew her in, and she was captivated by the calm and serene life humans enjoyed. As they walked, Anos smoothly shifted into a charming demeanor, praising Sasha's eyes as more radiant than his own. His words left her cheeks burning, though she secretly cherished the compliment. Their steps eventually carried them to the Superhero Academy. Before Anos could head inside to look around, a voice called out. A girl introduced herself as Nanka, a third year at the academy. Once she heard they were visitors curious about heroes, she welcomed them without hesitation. The library inside held endless records of past heroes, especially tales from times of war, including portraits of the legendary canon, revered as a savior by humans. In the section dedicated to heroes, Nanka showed Sasha a book that claimed Canon had defeated the Demon King and brought peace. Sasha was enraged at such a blatant rewriting of history. The humans had erased the true deeds of the Demon King, crediting them instead to Canon, saying he slew the Demon King and raised 4 walls to protect the world. Just as Sasha was about to cry out for justice, Anos intervened. He understood that false history, however distorted, might have been the only way to maintain peace in that age. He asked Nanka if she knew the name of the so-called Demon King. Her answer startled him, for even in the human realm the name had been altered to Avos. Anos pressed further, asking about the superhero program at the academy. Nanka freely explained the details, including what Bolin's research had uncovered. The program existed to cultivate heroes, and among its members were 4 reincarnations of Canon. Because Canon's soul had 7 origins, as long as one survived, he could return again. If 4 Canons existed, then fragments of his origins must have been split into 4 vessels. Still, Anos doubted Canon's true return. Why would he remain silent while such lies about history spread unchecked? At that moment, 2 students approached, claiming to be the 2nd and 3rd origins of Canon reborn. The 3rd, upon learning Anos was from the demon realm, tried to pick a fight to display his power. With nothing more than a flick of his wrist, Anos sent him crashing back several meters. The supposed origin of Canon was laughably weak, leaving Anos disappointed. The 2nd origin, Ollie, though unsettled, bowed respectfully, apologized for the insult, and asked for Anos's noble name. Without hesitation, Anos spoke it, a name absent from all human records. Yet his disappointment lingered. If these were truly Canon's rebirths, they were shadows of what he once was. At that point, Nanka gently reminded him not to expect the reincarnated Canon to mirror his former self, as he had ultimately been slain by humans long ago. After 10 straight days, the last group of students from the Demon King Academy finally assembled. During the magical exchange program with the Hero Academy, they sent Canon's 3rd incarnation, Levi, while the Demon King Academy was represented by the pure-blooded third-year class leader who stepped forward to face the challenge. Following Levi's display, Annie attempted a spell to morph a mouse into a beast. Yet no matter how many times she cast the incantation, the animal remained unchanged. This failure prompted Levi and his instructor to mock the Demon King Academy's abilities. At such a tense moment, the presence of Anos became vital. Tricks like these from the heroes were nothing unusual to him. Breaking his silence, Anos shattered the unseen seal on the cage, causing the little mouse to instantly turn into a ferocious monster. To further captivate the crowd, he summoned a counterfeit holy sword that looked exactly like the human's weapon, leaving onlookers stunned. Although purebloods and mixed bloods often clashed within the demon world, the instructor boldly proclaimed in front of the purebloods that Anos was the true tyrant demon king. As expected, the purebloods rejected this claim, which led Anos to rise up and argue fiercely, creating a heated uproar. That evening, Evik arrived with fresh intelligence. The truth of Canon's death at the hands of humans was not broadly known, but whispers about Anos's resurrection had already spread among mankind. More importantly, Evik uncovered a lingering plot to eliminate him once more. After his conversation with Evik, Anos was invited by two sisters to join them at the festival in celebration of hero Rengar's birthday. Anos was familiar with Rengar since he had once been Canon's teacher in a previous life. By chance, they spotted Ray and Milan sneaking out together as well. Anos intended to greet them, but Sasha held him back, questioning why he would intrude on what was clearly a date. Quietly tailing them, they witnessed Ray gift Milan a split seashell pendant, an item considered by legend to be equal to a marriage vow. Their mutual affection was obvious. The following day, the inter-academy competition began, where the two schools clashed using their military magic. The Hero Academy relied on the light formation, while the Demon King Academy placed their hope solely on Ray. Anos was ready to lead, but Annie argued that purebloods didn't need a mixed blood giving directions. As a result, Anos withdrew, allowing Annie to command the team. Once both sides began their formations beneath the water, Annie stuck to her standard defensive approach. However, it quickly became apparent that the Demon King Academy's spells were weakening while the Hero Academy's power steadily grew stronger. Through the vision of his demonic eye, Anos discovered that holy water had been poured into the lake, amplifying the human strength while suppressing demon magic. Despite their resistance, Annie's team was overwhelmed. The final attack came in the form of a triangular formation from the heroes, draining the energy of the demon fortress until it completely crumbled. Using the demonic eye that Anos had shared with her, Historia realized that the entire battle had been rigged against them. Seeing her students defeated, she tried to rush in and rescue them, but Anos stopped her, chanting a spell that lifted all the participants safely to the surface. He then began healing the wounded, as their injuries were severe. Though Annie disliked him, she understood that only Anos was capable of restoring their academy's pride. Knowing this, Anos prepared an enormous fireball and hurled it into the holy water-filled lake. The massive flame absorbed the water bit by bit, drying the battlefield and leveling the conditions, making the contest between the two academies fair once more. The heroes quickly raised a barrier to shield themselves from Anos's fireball. Out of nowhere, a girl appeared at incredible speed and shattered the flames into countless fragments. This immediately caught Anos's interest. Finally, an opponent appeared who was worth his attention. Inside the barrier, Misa required 3 minutes to construct a fortress for their assault. During this time, Anos vowed to protect her completely, and once the structure was finished, the others would advance. With teleportation magic, both instantly appeared within the enemy's defensive zone. The mysterious girl who had just arrived also stood with the heroes. Since she couldn't speak, Louis stepped forward to explain. She was introduced as Jessica, the fourth origin of Canon, holding the title of the Academy's strongest. With her presence confirmed, the battle continued without pause. As Misa began forming the fortress, their opponents rushed to stop her. Yet Anos blocked every strike, not only defending but also retaliating fiercely, sending the attackers flying back. When Misa finally completed her construction, the rest of their allies joined in. At the riverbank, Sasha clashed with a ferocious enemy. She noticed his distraction and cleverly swiped his magic seal button. However, the opponent quickly regained it and trapped Sasha within a magic formation, locking her movements. Convinced she was finished, he grew overconfident until he suddenly coughed up blood, collapsed, and lost his strength. In truth, Sasha had poisoned the button when she stole it. With the poison working, Sasha launched her counter-strike. Using her fearsome magic eye, she shattered Leo's formation with ease. Now he lay helpless, unable to resist as she prepared to end him. Elsewhere, Ray confronted a white-haired youth head-on. The boy's arrogant words provoked Ray, who swiftly severed one of his arms. Before the boy could recover, Ray seized his treasured sacred sword. The youth had boasted that his blade left a divine wound that no spell could heal. Without hesitation, Ray tested the claim on himself. Realizing the situation had turned against him, the boy grew desperate, pleading for his life. Ray, however, gave no mercy. With decisive force, he struck down using the very sacred blade, calling it a fitting welcome for their first encounter. Meanwhile, Anos went to awaken Levi, who had been feigning death. Forced to reveal himself, Levi rose, unsheathed his weapon, and declared he would duel Anos fairly. Yet before the fight could balance, Jessica leapt in as well. To Anos, neither their combined assault nor their reputations mattered. He faced them both without fear, seeing no real threat in either of them. He struck back fiercely, slamming both of them against a rugged cliffside. Realizing that Anos was not someone to underestimate, Levi invoked a battle formation that allowed them to channel divine energy shared by the gods of the human realm. This boost greatly amplified their magic, giving them both immense confidence. Jessica rushed forward and shattered Anos' protective barrier, unleashing the combined might of more than 10 million citizens from the human realm. For a moment, it looked as though Anos might be defeated. But Anos was far from ordinary. Where the pair relied on the power of millions, he required only 8. Anos sent word to the girls at the Unification Party, asking them to sing a resonant song for him. Their voices infused him with strength, causing his magic to spike to overwhelming levels. Now, their assaults broke apart like fragile glass in his hands. Every strike was effortlessly countered. Levi's demeanor instantly shifted. He bellowed with rage, vowing to kill Anos. The girls of the Unification Party also began to display unsettling signs, as though driven to turn against him. Jessica braced herself against Anos, plunging a blade into her own chest as she prepared to self-destruct. But before she could release the blast, Anos swiftly drove his hand into her chest, seizing her core. In that moment, Nekka's voice echoed inside his mind, telling him that only she could show him how to stop Jessica. Yet Jessica kept attacking fiercely, leaving Anos no chance to reach her. Out of options, he asked Misa to go investigate. When Misa arrived, Nanka was nowhere to be found. Instead, their teacher awaited her. The moment he saw Misa, his hatred for demons was written all over his face. Without delay, he opened a door behind her, releasing a holy radiance that burned her severely. He then drove his blade into her body, stabbing again and again with merciless cruelty. As he prepared to finish her with one final blow, Anos appeared in time and flung him aside. Anos then erected a barrier wall, sheltering Misa inside it. It was now his turn to deal with this traitorous figure. As punishment, Anos transformed him into a hideous demon beast, the very thing he despised most. Daigo, consumed by madness and stripped of reason, tried to use his monstrous body to annihilate Anos. Outside, he attempted to send hidden commands to manipulate the Hero Academy students, urging them to fight recklessly to wipe out everyone from the Demon King Academy. But Anos had already cast a spell to freeze time, halting events before they could spiral further. Thus, no matter how hard Daigo pushed his will, no one could hear him. Anos went further still. He seized Daigo's origin, tortured it until the agony was unbearable, and then crushed it in his hand, erasing any hope of resurrection. After tending to Misa's wounds, Anos carried her into the chamber beyond the earlier doorway. There, they discovered Nanka imprisoned inside a glowing sphere, surrounded by countless other dark orbs scattered across the space. Nanka stirred awake the moment Anos appeared before her. Trembling, she begged him urgently to get her out of the place she was trapped in. In return, she vowed to disclose every hidden secret that had remained concealed until now. Once she was freed, Nanka revealed the past. 2,000 years ago, General Rengar nurtured a profound hatred for demons. Even after the Demon King had sacrificed himself to safeguard the world, Rengar's enmity did not waver. To ensure that this hatred would persist through generations, he split magic into 2 distinct forms. One of these was the Arc spell, intended to implant an enduring loathing for demons within humanity. Discovering that his master still intended to ignite a war to annihilate all demons, the hero Kennen desperately tried to intervene. Hadn't they always fought to maintain the peace of the present age? Yet, he was betrayed and slain by his own comrades and the master he had trusted. Disenchanted with humanity, Kennen chose not to reincarnate again. Rengar, seeking endless reincarnation and eternal life, transformed into Dago and employed magic to clone humans. As long as the origin of any clone persisted, those individuals could repeatedly reincarnate. This meant that Dago had never truly died before, he was destined to return once more. Nanka pleaded with Anos to end her life, explaining that she was the key to the cloning process. Only if she perished would the clone being cease to be resurrected. It was clear that after 2 millennia of struggle, Nanka was utterly spent. As Anos prepared to grant her release, Dago, reborn and ravenous like a leech, returned with his forces. Before he could face Anos at the sight of the sacred sword Avos, the remaining 3 demon elders also appeared. Witnessing Avos reaching for the sacred sword, Dago sneered confidently, declaring that no demon could ever wield it, only the hero Kennen was capable. Yet, defying his arrogance, Avos immediately drew the sacred sword. After defeating Dago, he turned to confront Anos. Facing the tyrant demon king himself, Avos boldly claimed the title of Avos, the tyrant demon king. He then struck at Anos with the sacred sword, but every blow was effortlessly destroyed. Avos' true aim was to incite another war. He sought to plunge the world entirely into darkness. The theft of the holy sword officially ignited the war between the human and demon realms. News of the imminent conflict spread swiftly among both sides, prompting a rapid mobilization of troops for what would become the second major campaign. Determined to minimize casualties, Anos planned to face the armies of both realms on his own. Yet, his comrades, friends, and loyal followers refused to let him fight alone. They remained ever ready to join him on the battlefield at a moment's notice. Before the clash, he visited Milan to retrieve half of a necklace, assuring her that he would return safely once the war ended. On the day of the confrontation, forces were deployed according to the strategy. Sisters Sasha and Missa were assigned to halt the vanguard advancing toward the human lands. Meanwhile, Milan and Ray took positions on the forest front to intercept the approaching enemy troops. The 7 demon elders were ordered to confront the 3 traitorous elders, leaving Anos to deal with Avos personally. He headed straight to the castle, intent on drawing Avos out. However, Avos was nowhere to be found inside. Elsewhere, once their respective missions were complete, everyone sent Anos messages to reassure him during the fight. Milan's front was a bit of a concern, as after eliminating the army at the forest edge, she had vanished following a sudden explosion. Anticipating Avos' movements, Anos quickly erected barrier walls to prevent his escape from the demon realm. Sure enough, upon arrival, Avos was trapped within his barriers. The two clashed in a fierce, lightning-fast battle, each refusing to give an inch. In a critical moment of close combat, Anos snatched the necklace from Avos' neck. It matched the piece Milan had the night Ray took it. The shocking truth revealed itself: Ray was actually Avos, and even more astonishing, he was also the hero Kanan. 2 millennia ago, the followers of Rengar didn't just assassinate Kanan, they also schemed to eliminate Anos 2,000 years later. Humanity's desire to destroy a being as powerful as Anos was a grave error. To correct this mistake for humankind, Ray had to step in and intervene in Anos' reincarnation. This also explained why everyone mistakenly believed the tyrant demon king went by the name Avos. Rengar had deeply ingrained in humanity an unwavering hatred toward demons, and only when Anos fell would the curse of humanity's resentment finally lift. As a hero, Ray recognized it was his duty to correct this centuries-old wrong. To do so, Ray decided to reincarnate in the demon realm and spark a conflict between the two factions, intending to die in Anos' stead. By taking this path, the lingering curse in people's hearts would vanish, and Anos would be spared the burden of self-sacrifice. After all, this world needed a demon king of his caliber to maintain balance. Yet as a friend across 2 lifetimes, Anos refused to let Ray perish for him. This led to a battle between them, driven solely by the desire to protect one another and preserve peace. During an assault by Kanan, Ray leapt skyward, evading the attack, while simultaneously using magic to destroy one of Anos' origins. Through a relentless barrage of increasingly powerful strikes, Anos destroyed 5 more of Ray's origins. When only one origin remained, Ray, drained and plummeting from the sky, refused to yield. He understood he could fail countless times, but this moment demanded victory. He had to save the world, for no second chance would come. With a fierce roar, Ray summoned a sacred sword anew. His resolve at its zenith, he moved with blinding speed, shattering Anos' defenses and rushing headlong into the fireball Anos had conjured, striking with a decisive slash. Yet at that critical instant, Anos offered no resistance. He allowed Rei's blade to strike his origin directly. The surrounding barrier wall slowly descended as Anos swapped garments with Rei, donning Avos's mask. Thus, the scene of Hero Kanan slaying the tyrant Demon King unfolded once more for all to witness. From the start, Anos had intended for Rei to strike him publicly, preventing war, breaking the curse of human animosity, and saving Rei from dying in his place. In one act, 3 objectives were achieved, just as Anos had foreseen. Before vanishing, he commanded the demon realm to retreat swiftly to their lands. Until the tyrant Demon King returned, no forces were to launch unilateral attacks against humans. Just as 2,000 years prior, Anos chose to sacrifice himself once more to protect the world. He remained, in Rei's eyes and the hearts of humanity, the eternal hero. One might assume the story ended there, yet Rengar, ever greedy, seized the moment after Anos' death to attempt the total annihilation of the demon realm. Manifesting in his colossal form, he aimed to harness the power of one of Jessica's clones to trigger an explosion capable of obliterating the entire demon domain. Confronted with his mentor, who had lost all traces of humanity, Rei longed to personally guide him toward release. Yet the mentor's body was now shielded by sacred light, rendering Rei's sword strikes futile. Seizing the moment, Yvick cast a spell to swiftly fuse Missa and Sasha into a formidable demonic being to stand against Rengar. Even after living for millennia, Rengar proved far from easy to overcome. He countered the sisters' chains with brutal precision. Meanwhile, Rei, Mulan, and Nanka strained to eliminate Jess's clones, giving their all against the overwhelming numbers. Nevertheless, Rengar's immense power allowed him to seize full control over the Jessicas, preparing to unleash a devastating explosion. The individual Jessicas merged with Rengar, and the sheer count of over 1,000 entities was staggering. The sisters' chains could no longer restrain him. In the end, despite everyone's relentless efforts, the detonation seemed inevitable. A terrifying energy began to engulf the surroundings. Yet, at the very moment when hope seemed lost, the feared explosion never came to pass. Instead, Onos returned, stronger than ever. It appeared that Onos had harnessed Rei's attack as a trigger to restore his original form, a feat only achievable by the progenitor tyrant, the Demon King. Though Rengar felt some caution toward Onos, he refused to yield. Confident and arrogant, he saw this as his chance to slay Onos once again. Rengar immediately deployed a spell array designed to drain the power from all nearby, making their heads feel as if they would burst. Even if it meant death for others, his hatred would not let him stop. However, Rei intercepted Rengar's sword strike. Knowing he could not remain idle, Rei stepped in to lend his strength. Both charged at Rengar, Rei striking repeatedly at the protective barrier around him, while Onos used chains to try and bind him, though the effect seemed limited. Yet Onos, freshly resurrected and with magic not fully restored, suffered injuries from Rengar. Seeing this, Rengar quietly celebrated, convinced that victory was finally within reach. Amid the stirring heroic chants of the girls, Onos' magical energy surged rapidly, intensifying beyond expectation. Rengar, caught by surprise from the sudden attack, spun around desperately, raising his sword toward the girls. At that very moment, Nanka coordinated reinforcements to shield the girls of the Unification Party. Having observed the fight from the start, the troops should now clearly recognize who the foes were and who stood as their allies. With support stationed below and Onos wanting to end the confrontation swiftly, he channeled a bolt of lightning through Rengar's own sword, striking him violently and leaving him writhing from the electrocution. Still refusing to retreat, Rengar faced Rei, who, from above, swung the sacred sword and slashed across him, forcing him to finally collapse. "It's over," Onos declared. "Take one last look at this world." Summoning the Demon King's magic sword into his grasp, Onos joined forces with Rei, delivering a decisive strike to the center of Rengar's forehead. Rengar let out a single roar before being completely wiped from existence. In his final moments, Rengar seemed to glimpse his wife and daughter awaiting him, offering companionship in the afterlife. Despite all the rage and hatred he had carried, he passed peacefully, satisfied with his ending. After the battle concluded, calm returned, and Missa and Sasha reverted to their separate selves. Nanka no longer had to sacrifice herself. Rei and Milan shared a heartfelt embrace, their joy overwhelming. Once everyone's safety was confirmed, Onos invited the sisters, and now Nanka, back to his home, just like before. As always, his parents greeted them warmly. They shared a lively, joy-filled meal, their laughter echoing. In the end, despite all trials, everyone found their own fulfilling resolution.